Okay, so hello again guys. So this one I'm hoping to get a little bit shorter than the other ones because they came out a little bit longer than I would have actually hoped. So, right, we're going to start off with Greenstuff. So you've probably seen this before. So 2-part epoxy putty, chemical name Neodite. You can get it from all sorts of places. Hopefully this time I'll actually remember to write a link with all the suppliers that I know of. But the best one for me is Games Workshop, just because it's a bit fresher. So, a couple of little things. If you didn't watch the video before, I recommend cutting it up into strips this sort of size and sticking them in the freezer if you can. You can take it out of the freezer and work with it straight away. You don't have to leave it to warm up or anything like that. But that just keeps this yellow side a bit fresher. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to cut off how much we want to use. So all I need to do is use some to smooth out this section, okay, and possibly do a couple of bolts that I've accidentally dremeled off. So I always use less than I think I'm going to need, and this is the reason I use this stuff and not the two kind of tubes of Greenstuff. So in the last video I said you'd need one pair of scissors for your putties. That's just so you don't ruin your scissors. So as you can see, I've taken an incredibly thin slither there. It's generally how much I'll use at a time. Not much more than that. And then I kind of take one blue section, match it up with the yellow, and then pinch off that yellow section. Generally the yellow section is always bigger than the blue section. They should be even. So you want to cut out that middle bit anyway, because that will have started to solidify. Okay, so we chuck that away. So then we start mixing. Okay, so very importantly, you want to keep Greenstuff wet. Okay. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. There's a couple of train of thoughts. You can dip your fingers in water, so like a water pot, which is quite pink at the moment. I've been painting pink horrors. But yeah, so you can dip it in water, or you can use Vaseline, or you can actually use saliva. So there's no issue. They say Greenstuff is irritant. Basically I wouldn't recommend eating it. I wouldn't recommend chewing it. But just licking your fingers once in a while won't do anyone any harm. Okay? So that's the way I do it. And Kev White, who sculpts for Hassle-Free Miniatures, he does the same, I know that. I'm pretty sure the Perry twins do too. The thing about Vaseline is it's great and it really makes things smooth, but if you use too much of it, things stop sticking. And also you'd have to wash your greens before you send them off to be moulded, because depending on what moulding technique they're using, it can actually damage the moulds, because it's petroleum jelly, so you don't want it to, you know, get under intense pressure and heat so that it explodes or anything like that. Or I don't know what sort of damage it would do, but I can't imagine it would be very good for the mould, so I generally avoid it. So there we go. You want it to be that mixed, okay? So there's no streaks in there, none at all. Okay, that is purely green, and that is the shade of green we want. So if you're sculpting purely on a personal basis, or if you're doing it for resin casting, not metal casting, it doesn't matter what mix of Greenstuff you actually use. If you put more yellow in there, it won't dry as fast and it'll be more sculptable, more workable for longer. If you put more blue in there, it will set faster and harder, and it will be more sand, like you can sand it more. So what I'm going to do is show you how I apply this stuff. So let's take that arm off. Come on, there we go. That makes life easier. So I stick it on, and then I put the tool, get it a bit wet, press down the green stuff a bit, and I do that until I'm happy that that contour has been smoothed out properly. Okay, but you can see there's still kind of dents in there. That line there is there. This is just to ensure that it's in place. Okay, so we want to take some of that off. As you can see, you can already tell I've mixed up too much green stuff. Okay. The way you can tell when to really kind of get your tool a bit more wet is it starts to pull on the green stuff and you want it to kind of glide over it, and if it's not gliding then it's not wet enough. So that's pretty good at the moment. Most people would be pretty happy with that, I think. So as you can see, I've barely touched the model with my finger. I haven't pressed any detail onto there, and this is what I was saying in my last video about fingerprints. There's no reason your model should have fingerprints on it. The tools are out there to avoid it, it's just a matter of using them. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the flat chisel clay shaper, keeping it wet as well, just smoothing it out. Making sure I follow the contour of the model, just so it's smoothed out correctly. Okay? It's also picked up something here needs filling, but yeah, so this will take a little while. So that's just showing you kind of what I've managed to do there, and that's what I would do over the whole model eventually using those techniques. Okay, so that's just showing you sort of how I apply green stuff, how I smooth it out. I then get the extra firm. These are extra firm ones I use, by the way. So these ones are normally black tipped. You can also get grey tipped ones that are a bit softer. The problem with the softer ones is they don't put the detail into it, and you actually find it harder to smooth things out with it because it just glides over it too much, whereas these put a little bit of pressure onto it. So this, just do that. Kind of rub it, and this sort of blends it in better with the kind of contour of the body, kind of smooths it out. And then we'll have to go back over it with the flat chisel, make sure it's fully smoothed out, and there you go, that's it. So that's it for now. So that's it pretty much on mixing and applying green stuff for today. I hope that's been useful. It's a very, very small thing, but I think it's very important to go over as well. Like I said in my past video, I know it's quite pedantic, I know it's a bit silly, but it does need to, you do need to go through it once in a while, and I think it's just important to have that very clearly explained. So I hope that's been useful to some of you. I've been really enjoying some of the comments I've been hearing on the past video, so I'm hoping to get a few more and see what you guys think of this one as well. So the next video I'm going to have a little bit of a think about and see what to do. If you guys have got anything in particular that you want to learn how to do, give us a shout and I'll see what I can do for the next video. So I'm thinking maybe fur or something like that, we'll see. Okay, so I will hear from you soon. Keep on commenting, keep on subscribing, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.